Welcome back to Switch to Linux and the Distro Wars. Well, today we want to have a brief look at Fedora running the Pantheon desktop, which it officially supports as of Fedora 30, and Elementary OS, which of course is the creator of the Pantheon desktop. We also want to look at basic system usability, styles, and other things like this, and ask the question, if you wanted to run Pantheon, which is the best distro you're going to run. So, of course, we're going to be doing a couple little guys here. Elementary, of course, you can head on over to Elementary. They're saying it is a fast, open, privacy-respecting replacement for Windows and Mac. It does look good. It does look slick. You will see that by the time we are here. It does say purchase it. You can come in here and enter a custom of 0, but I am going to tell you that if you are using this as your daily driver, I would ask you to please consider supporting the project. So you can support the project any custom amount. Also, they've done a great job of inside their store, which we will see when we get in there, that they actually do have a model in place to help support the developers, which is a very good thing. So I really like some of the things Elementary is doing. On the downside, Elementary is very much like a Gestapo. You must do it the way we want you to do it and never mind anything else. And I don't like that approach. So for whatever that happens to be worth. Now, Fedora, of course, is a well-known, very excessively mature distribution where we have the workstation and the server. Now, I was thrown for a little bit of a loop in that they changed some of the way their downloads go. I was looking for the simple net installer. It's not called net installer anymore. Now, it is actually called the everything installer. So this is the network installer that you can basically do anything and everything. And it's not just a workstation anymore. You can do the workstation, you can do the server, you can do a lot of things in between. So that must be new because this is the first time I remember looking for the net installer for Fedora and not being able to find it until I did some research and found the everything. All right. So what we did here then is I installed a Fedora build, and then what you do is you want to install the Pantheon desktop. It's not an option in the installer to install it with the Pantheon desktop, but what you can actually do with it, does this have the command? That does not have the command to it, I don't think. What you can do to install it is you simply run the command. You're going to do a sudo dnf group install. Make sure you don't leave out that group. And then in your single bracket, Pantheon space desktop. That's going to install all the dependencies and things that you need to get Pantheon on working for you. And so with that, it is time we are going to jump right on in, and we're going to start on Elementary OS. Now, Elementary OS itself, it does run very nice as far as a functional system. It is elegant, and it definitely is trying to resemble more of a Mac. On the downside of it is, it kind of is a non-customizable system. Now, yes, of course you can customize it, but it's going to be a lot harder to do. So go ahead and log in here. Now, the login screen on this is very nice, very elegant, like the rest of the desktop. I think that they have done a really good job of theming, albeit there are a few consistencies in a few places, such as some of your applications run light themes and some of your applications run dark themes, and hey, whatever it is in the middle. So your photos, of course, defaults dark theme. Your video defaults dark theme. Most of your other things default on light theme. And no, you cannot set a light mode versus dark mode without changing configuration files. All right, now when we get on into here, we do have nice screen time and limitations, albeit I noted in my video that the internet blocking does not seem to be working as well as it should be. You can see there that I'm supposed to be blocking Start Page and Google and Google are actually working for me. Let's go ahead and go with google.com. So here, oh, wow, that one's actually functioning now. I'm totally surprised. Wait, hold on. Oh my God, that's the problem. They are blocking it if you put the HTTP if they're not blocking if you put the HTTPS. Wow, I finally figured out how their blocking system works. So, but at the same token, that makes me question if I do HTTP www.startpage.com. It redirects itself to the HTTPS like most websites do, and it doesn't block it. So apparently it works. I don't know. Their blocking tool doesn't seem to be working for internet, albeit it does block applications and other things like that. All right, now as far as their application center, now you did get some pop-up notifications that there are some system updates, so that's good. We have a good system to let us know there are some updates. But the next concern that I have with the system is that if I want to install an application that is not directly curated by the elementary team, and there's only a couple of them, we get this install non-curated app. Despite LibreOffice being a very, very well-known, widely popular, and ubiquitous application, we still get this very scary that if I'm brand new to Linux, I think, oh man, this is a problem. I shouldn't install this. And I think that this is kind of irresponsible on the elementary team. Now, of course, a lot of what this means is that if you want the system used exactly the way they want you to use it, you're going to have a very stable, very consistent system overall. Some people like looking at the theming stuff, and if you do like looking at the theming stuff, you are going to have a few little areas that you're not going to be a big fan of. Again, something that I have noted in my video the other day, you can see that the menus on some applications here are a skeuomorphic blue, but if you go to other applications, they are a more flat, modern blue. And so there is some differences in theming. I don't generally care about that personally, but I do know a lot of people do. And so I like to point that out. All right, so with this, let's go ahead and go on into our system settings. And what I want to do is, as one of the things is, I want to install my printer. I want to see if I can get my printer working. So let's see, I need to add, okay, connect the printer by clicking on the icon in the toolbar below. So that's this little icon down there. It's going to see if it can find my network printer. It's not an HP. Okay, this is actually the network printer that I have. So I've never found a distribution that installs this printer without manually installing drivers. So this will be a really cool test. And it's giving me this list. Of course, it's neither of these printers. So let's go ahead and give this a try. This is a generic cups and printer from Gutenberg. We'll go ahead and see if this will, it says it's ready. Let's go ahead and queue it up and see if, oh, there's my print test page. Like I said, I've never encountered a distribution that installs the drivers for this printer correctly. And it appears as though this one isn't it either. Oh, wait, no. No, that's just the resting thing. All right, so we're going to have to install the drivers manually if I want to get this guy to work. So let's just go ahead and delete the printer because it's not working. Yeah, it's canceled. Maybe, I don't know, let's try doing that one more time. That didn't take long. Let's go ahead and try to do that one more time and see if I can actually access a printer screen there. So let's go ahead and give that a try. And then what we're going to do is I need to go on to Brother's website and download the drivers. Okay, so notifications. Okay, so we have a printer error, so it's not able to print to the device. All right, so that is that. Let's go ahead and delete the printer, and we will go ahead and install the printer drivers if we are able to. Now, one of the reasons I'm doing this is that to make the point that I want to see if, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, that elementary is not going to be able to install a lot of the applications that we might need. I could be pleasantly surprised. So we're flying blind here. I have not tested this prior to loading the system, albeit I have installed these drivers many times on all of my various computers. So we're going to go right on over to Brothers website, not Brothers Pizza, Brothers Drivers. And let's go and find device drivers. They have changed their website. What are drivers? I know what drivers are. I need to get them. So I need HLL2380DW. All right, so we have to choose. So we're going to go ahead and do deb. Let's go ahead and grab the driver installer tool. We are going to agree to the EULA, and you can see that it has finished that. Okay. I need my dock back so I can grab my Windows. Where are my files at? All right. All right, so now if I go download, so there we are. So it does give us the very simple instructions here. So let's just go ahead and boot up a terminal. And what we need to do then is we need to follow the instructions here on our system. Let's go to our desktop. Downloads I need. All right, so you can see my printer driver there. And now what we're going to do is, let's go with G unzip. All right, so let's go ahead and we don't need to, well, let's go into the sudo user if I can. And we also need to cd into all right, so let's see. We're going to bash this guy here, input model name, HLL2380DW. All right, we are going to install the following packages. So we have a driver for the scanners for the printer. I'm not all that concerned right now about the scanner. I'm not even sure Elementary has a scan utility. I can install one. I'm primarily right now just concerned with the printer because more people, I think, need the printer running than the scanner, I think. But we're going to go ahead and give this a try. Now, we're not going to do this on the Fedora video as well. I know that one works. I have an entire video about that. Let's see. Hey, now I hear the printer working. So that's what we need to do. Just go ahead and specify the IP address, and the printer will function. There we are. So we have a functioning printer. Do I have a scan utility in here? I don't. I have to find that in the scan utility. But anyway, there is that. There's one more thing that I forgot I wanted to test installing, and that's something like Skype. Now, why Skype, even though it's spawned from the devil? Well, because unfortunately, several of my clients still use Skype. So I can't go ahead and grab Skype from there, but let's go ahead and grab Skype from the .deb package that Skype will give us. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's download Skype. And deb package is what I'm using since I am on an Ubuntu-based system. So it's going to download the deb package up here. And this is one of the challenges that we have is installing deb packages through the GUI. There's really no utility for that. So you'll have to drop into the terminal to install something like a deb package or get your system set up for it. That's been one of the issues on elementary OS in the past. You want to use something that's not in the repo directly, you're going to have a little bit of a fight on your hand. Let's go ahead and have a look at Fedora now. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and boot up Fedora. So Fedora doesn't have quite as glorious of a login screen. Elementary OS is definitely better themed than particularly Fedora Pantheon, albeit at least on Fedora Pantheon, I can actually tweak it. You know, it's something I did not do in the last video. I have tested it and I forgot to show it, but even though you can install GNOME tweak tools, they pretty much disable you from doing anything. You can't add the minimize button. You can't do a lot of other things that you would think the tweak tool can do by installing it. There is an elementary tweak tool. Some people always say, install the elementary tweak tool. The problem is that every single release, they break it intentionally because they don't want a tweak tool for elementary. That's one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of it, is if I want to customize my system, they no, we don't want you to customize it. So over here, I've installed Pantheon, so we're going to go ahead and boot on into Pantheon with my super secret password that's definitely not 123. And when we land on this guy, we are going to be on the Pantheon desktop. And I can say that the Pantheon desktop here, you know, every single time I boot this up, it's looked different. It's now looking as classy as as it was on elementary. So I did not actually have the purely translucent bar the last time. And the icons did start working. I had to toggle the icons around a little bit to get those all working. But now we are on Fedora on Pantheon. And over here, we have the system setup is much the same. Of course, we don't have the application center as is built up on elementary, so we don't get the pop-ups if there's a system update. So we are going to have to boot up either a software store or go into the terminal to look for any updates. Now, one of the advantages you have with running Fedora Pantheon is, well, apparently that crashed. You have a lot of crashes going on, so that's actually the first time I saw a crash. Let's go ahead and just let's log out, log back in. Yeah, we're going to log out, log back in. When you install, when you run the tweak tool, I was actually getting it to work for me just fine. I could change my themes around. I could change my icons around. So let's see if, does it just tweaks, just crash it now? Nope, there it goes. All right. So you can select your various application themes. So if you wanted to go with different themes than elementary, you can go ahead and choose those. Here's our cursors. Here's our icons. You can use various sounds. You also, though, have the ability to add your minimize, maximize button. Oh, you know what? I think that I added the system tools to make it behave like elementary, and it broke my minimize button. There's a line of commands that you can install that will cause it to behave more like elementary. And I think that that's what happened is when I installed those, I hadn't restarted the system. And when I did that, it made the translucency show up, but it actually destroyed my ability to actually have minimize icons. I actually did have minimize icons here before before we did that. Before I made it behave like elementary. So I killed it by running the elementary commands. It was working. I had minimize buttons without running those commands. So that's kind of how that works. As far as our software, where we have the software center here. So if I wanted to install something that's not curated by the elementary tool, I actually can install it through the software center without getting yelled at. So that's possibly a benefit. And let's go ahead and look for, I don't know if LibreOffice is already installed. Let's do VLC. Actually, VLC is not in the repo for Fedora, so you have to install RPM Fusion repos for that. Let's go for FileZilla. FileZilla? Apparently nothing's in the repo. So Fedora is sucking for me right now. Bad comparison. Hey, let's install Evolution. That's in there. I think FileZilla is also in the extras repo. There's a lot of applications that I kind of go to just because web developer. I use FileZilla for a lot of things and a few other functions. All going to be missing from the repos. Let's go ahead and launch Evolution. See what Evolution looks like. Great. I turned the thing into. Oh, look at that. We have our minimize button back. Nice! I got my minimize button. Look at that. Our theming is actually matching as well, which is good. So Evolution's looking good. We got our minimize button back. Sweet. Maybe I spoke too soon on that. I think what's happening is if it's a Pantheon specific application, one of your Pantheon specific applications that doesn't even have room for a minimize icon. But if you install any other tool, then you do have the minimize icon. So that's actually what it appears to be doing. So overall, wow, interesting comparisons. We have Firefox instead of Epiphany on default. That's going to be good. We also, though, it's worth looking at the system settings because there's some things that are actually missing from the system settings. We don't have the screen time limitations. A few other things are missing from there. Here's your printers. Let's see if this happens to find a printer by default. My guess is no. It's not going to. All right, so this is giving me the same exact options. I did not actually have this simplified one last time, though. So let's go ahead and give this a try, though. We're going to see the same thing we saw in elementary, that it's probably not going to work. Yep, not going to work without downloading the drivers. We're not going to go through that process again. But I have done Fedora installing the drivers on a separate video. It works just fine. The other application, though, is if you remember, we wanted to look at doing something like Skype. Go ahead and download Skype. Now, since we're using Fedora here, which is an RPM system, not a Deb system, it should detect the RPM. Let's go ahead and grab that. Just save the file. And hey, we got a notification that our printer is not there. Open with software installer. So we're going to install Skype for Linux. That is the functionality that elementary is missing. So I can just right click it, install it through the installer, and it will go ahead and install the system for me. So now I have effectively installed Microsoft spyware on my device, but unfortunately many of my clients are like, we want you to have Skype. Fine, I'll have Skype. I'll have Skype. All right. There you go. There is Skype for Linux. We're not going to sign in, but there it is. So we actually now have it working. All right. So overall, which one of these guys is going to be better for you? Well, that's going to kind of depend on you, really. As far as out-of-the-box simplicity and polish, I would say elementary definitely goes with the out-of-the-box system and polish. However, they also limit you down to the software that they want you to install. If it's not one of their curated apps, it gives you a scary warning, even though there's no warning to be concerned about. Those are all Ubuntu curated software packages. All right. So with the Ubuntu curated software packages, you know, with those, they're going to work fine. And I see it unnecessary to have this warning. Also, they don't let you install other applications, the Deb applications, things like that. They just don't want you to do a lot of those things. If it's outside of their vision for the software, for the operating system, they don't really want you to do it. That's a little annoying in the Linux world. Now, if you want to use it exactly the way that they want, it's going to work very well. You're not going to break it nearly as easily. It's going to be a good system that's going to be functional for what it's designed for. Fedora, on the other hand, you're going to have a lot more headaches. First and foremost, if you want to install Pantheon, you're going to have to install it separately. The theming does not look as good. As I said, I did a few commands that will match the theming with Elementary to make it basically resemble Elementary. When I did not do that, it did look a little bit better. As far as better, it had better control with the tweak tools. Although it does appear by the end of this test here, everything was working just fine. I did have the one system crash on Fedora. I did not encounter that before. Not sure if that was just a rogue thing. This is a brand new release of Fedora, so whatever that would be worth. Installing your packages and things to the terminal, both systems are going to be just as easy. Installing extra software packages, Deb in the one case and RPM in the other case, easier on Fedora. Fedora is not going to work right as well out of the box because it's lacking some of the extra third-party codecs and extra third-party repositories that you are going to need to add. Elementary, you don't have a necessity to do that. So there's kind of your breakdown. So more advanced users, Fedora is going to give you a lot more control. Elementary, a lot less control, but going to be a little easier to use. Something else though, Elementary is going to allow you to continue to roll the versions. If you had an old version of Elementary, you can upgrade to the new version very easily. Fedora, not quite as simple to do that. So there's kind of my take. Let me know your take. Let me know which one you think won in the comments down below.